Good morning, all of you. Today is the second day in the 2-day workshop. Now, what we'll be doing is first we'll start with a recap of all what we have studied yesterday, and then we'll enter into new topics. So, we have seen the outline. We have studied how to start working with collabs. We have written our first Hello World, welcome to 2-day workshop print statement, and we have seen how to use keyword arguments. We have written a small program to see the basics of string operations. We have seen data types, integers, floats, complex numbers, if statement, for loop, and we have seen a small program to find the sum of numbers from 1 to 40. I believe that so far, if you have any clarifications in the details what we have dealt so far, you can ask me now. If you are all okay with whatever I have taught you and you are confident enough that you can start programming by yourself, we'll proceed. Any clarifications for anybody? No. So like for statement, we have while statement, while loops. While the syntax for while statement is while, then you give a conditional expression whose output will always be a boolean. While the condition is true, the statement is executed. Otherwise, what is there after else will be executed. This is how we create while loops in Python. Any doubts about the syntax in while loops? No. So we'll see some examples. Now say I want to write a program to receive n number of inputs. You don't know how many people are there in a class, but you want to enter all the details of the students in the class. I am using a continuous while loop. While, say, what is this? Okay, this is, I know the number of students here. Okay, this particular program, what we are doing is that we are using a while loop to enter the numbers and save the numbers and then create a roll number. Okay, I just need to enter 0, 1 so that you get the added, the additional prefix added to the roll number. This is one simple while loop program. Now I will give you an example, I will teach you an example of an infinite while loop wherein you have a class whose strength you don't know. You don't know the number of students, okay, but you wanted to enter all the details of all the students whoever comes to your class. You want to enter it and keep it saved. How we are going to do this program, I will tell you. Okay, we will be using two important statements in Python. One will be the break statement, the other one will be the continue statement. And now with this, I believe that you can understand how break and continue works. So here, the problem is like this, that you have and these are the programs or these are the statements that we have done yesterday. Now see, what I'll be doing is, now I'm going to start an infinite loop. While is a keyword. Remember that keywords or identifiers cannot be used as variable names in your programs, Python programs. So while is a keyword. While true means I am creating an infinite loop. As long as the condition is true, this will keep repeating. Okay, name is equal to input, enter the name of the student. Okay, So as long when I start this program, first statement that is executed is while true. That is always true. So it will keep going into the next statement. It will ask for an input. Enter the name of the student. You are entering a name of a student in this. The next statement will be do print y is equal to boolean of input, not boolean, not necessary. Y is equal to input. Enter if there are any more students in the class. And now I am giving the hint that it should be either yes or no, y or no. Okay, so what value it will take? This y will take the value of either capital Y or small a. Okay, if y is equal to n, that means there is no more students. Break the loop. Else continue. Okay, not else continue. I will put it as elif continue. Else print enter a valid input. Enter a valid input. This is a simple while statement. So when I run the statement, what happens is that initially it will ask me for the name of the student. Second thing it will ask me is that whether there are any more students to enter. Elif y equal to capital Y. The error I got is because I did not give this elif should have a condition. I did not give the condition, so that it gave me an error. So what happens, I'll tell you, I'll explain this program to you. When I run this program, it is asking for the name. First is, as long as the condition is true, it will ask for the name, right? So enter the name of the student. If I put some name, what is your name? Harishma. H-A-R-I-S-H-M-A. Harishma, I enter the name Harishma. Next question, it will ask that whether there are any more students to enter in the class. I'll give it as Y. I'll give it as capital Y, case sensitive, no? Y means it will ask for the name of the student again. Okay, what is your name? Sri Vishnu. I am entering Sri Vishnu. It will ask whether there is any more students. I am giving no. So it will break the loop. The thing is over, right? Now if I am giving an input which is, if I am giving an, what is your name? Rupesh. Unmesh. So I am giving Unmesh, and I am giving, say for example, K, what it will say? Enter a valid input and it will go back to the loop. The loop will continue because it is while true is there, right? Whether you give it or not, it will continue. Enter your valid input and it will automatically go to the next step. If you give break, it will not enter. So for example, I give here break. What happens is that escape. I am giving, what is your name? Sinan. If I give Sinan as a name, and if I put some K, what happens is that it is enter a valid input and it will stop. If I am removing this break, the loop continues. So now, in this particular example, I have made you understand what is while loop and how to use break and continue in your Python program. If you use break, what happens is that it will come out of the loop, it will end the loop. Whenever you create infinite loops like while true, break statement is compulsory. Otherwise, your system will hang. If you are not using break statement, your system will hang. Continue statement, what happens is that the rest of the statements in the loop is not executed, but the loop will get continued. In the end hereafter, else I can give continue. Whether I give continue or not, it will continue because it is the last statement. You don't have any other statement. So there is no meaning in giving continue here. All of you are able to understand this program? Any doubts? So this is the program. I have written this in a very different manner. Now all of you can try this program here. While true, enter the students. This program, whatever I have done now, I have written it in my PDF material also, which I will be sharing to you at the end of this workshop. I want you all to try this program and give the necessary outputs. So this is going to be the output of this particular set of statements. Next is a very important new concept, that is something that we have not dealt with so far. Functions in Python. Now say I will explain this to you with an example. Suppose you want to find out the area of 10 circles. You have the radius of all these 10 circles and you want to find the biggest of all circles. Listen here, the practical question is like this, that you have 10 circles, you want to find, you have only the radius of these 10 circles and you are expected to find the biggest of all these 10 circles in terms of area. Okay. You have to calculate the area of these 10 circles and display these 10 circles area also. Now, how will we find this? Basically what we can do is that radius is equal to integer input the first circle area is equal to, so this is how you will find the area of a circle, right? I am giving 40 for example, I will get the radius of the circle. But what happens when I wanted to calculate for 10 circles, or if I wanted to do it for large number of statements? I can create a function. A function is something where a block of statements is executed n number of times. Okay. Here, now let me create a function called as area. Def area. The area will take the input radius. You can give any variable name. Okay, I am giving it for easy understanding. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to define area is going to be 3.14 into radius square, r square. Now what I can do is that if I want to use this to find the area of n number of circles, for example, for I in range 1 to 10, A is equal to area of I, print A. Now what I am doing is that I am printing the area of all the circles, 10 circles, 9 circles from 1 to 9, where the radius is 1, radius is 2, radius is 3, radius is 4 and so on. Right? When radius is 1, it is 3.14, radius is 2, it is 12.56 and so on. Right? Now this does not require a function if there is only one statement here, right? If there are n number of statements, we need to use functions. So functions are a block of statements in Python program which can be reused in the program for n number of applications. The same with the name we are giving, this is the name, this is def is the keyword. This tells the Python interpreter that you are going to define a function. This one, area, is the name of the function. Okay, and this thing is called the argument. Argument is something that is being received. You can write functions without arguments also. For example, arguments are not compulsory. You have arguments and keyword arguments, where you have, when you don't know the number of arguments, you use args and quarks. What are that? We'll see as we go on. I'll teach you what is keyword arguments and arguments. Now say if I'm giving a simple definition, say write print, this is a statement, say for example, and if I give write x, write, simply write, what happens is that it will simply print this is a statement. There is no compulsory that it should have an argument. I can give an argument also. Say this is my name is, for example, my name is, okay, come on, name is a thing, my name is name, right? Srijit is coming. What is your name? Niyas. I am writing Niyas here. Now I'll get the output as my name is Niyas. You understand? This is how arguments are created and used. So a function is a block of statements. Say simply I want to write the other name. Write. What is your name? Trishai. Trishai. Yeah, right. So now it is very easy for me. I can reduce the coding. My name is Trisha is there. So all of you understood what are functions in Python? So how we'll define a function? Functions could accept arguments. Variables declaring that the function cannot be used outside the function. If you have a function, if you have a variable, say x is equal to 10, print my age is x, say for example, okay, x is equal to 20, my age is x, I can get my age is x here, but I cannot write here a is equal to x into 2. I cannot write here because I'll get x undefined variable x. That means that I have declared this function here inside a variable x inside the function, right? I cannot use that right outside the function. You can use it, you can declare it as global variables. I'll teach you how to use it in the coming sessions, okay? So did you understand about the variables inside the function? Any variable declared inside the function cannot be used outside the function. This is how you write a function. Function name and the list of parameters. You can give n number of parameters here one by one. Name, comma, age. And you can write here age. Write Nias. What is your age, Nias? 19. Trishay, 19. This I am deleting. So now I'll get my age is 19. Okay. Are you all able to understand? Next is the important thing is about args and quarks. We use arguments and keyword arguments when the number of arguments are not known. Okay. Default parameters would be assigned in that function. You can assign default function. Say here, there is another option. I can give here age is equal to 19 automatically, so that for every of these things I'll get age to be 19. Okay, this is a keyword argument. I'll tell you what it is later on. So when I run this program, it is correct. I'll get the same value. So this is called as a default parameter. That means that the value is always 19. Okay. You can declare a variable inside also. Now you don't know what are the number of parameters you want. Suppose I want age, marks and so on. What I can do is that, listen to me very carefully. This is a very important, slightly difficult concept. I do not know how many arguments are there here and I wanted to print n number of arguments. So I will declare something called as args. Okay. And now Nias and 19 I'm giving. Okay. Trishay I don't want to give age. Here what I can do, my name is args of 0. When I give args of 0, I will get this to be correct. You understand? Okay. Now, if I print my age is args of 1, after Trishay I am getting an error. You know why? Because Trishay args 1 is not there. If I give args 1 here, Trishay to be 20 for example, now I will get the program running correctly. So what I can do here, how can I correct this program? If args 1 is there, okay, that means if args 1 means if args 1 exists, print args 1, otherwise else print my age is print My age is not known or something like that. Okay. So now this program will work without errors. It will say that my name is Nia, and if I don't give this 20, still it will work. It will say that my name is not known. It should come like that. Now if tuple out of index, now if args1 is not none. Okay. If args1 is not none. Tuple out of range, right? If more easily for I in args, print my name is comma args, okay, I or args, whatever it is. My name is I. You got that? Are you able to understand now how to use arguments and keyword arguments? Similarly, we have keyword arguments, we'll use it as a dictionary. Now this is a tuple, args is a tuple. Okay, if I say print args, I'll get it as a tuple. The keyword arguments are dictionaries. You got this first tuple to be Nias, 19, Trishai, there is no age, so no age. And you can cast this args by its value 0 or 1 and so on. Now if you put it as keyword arguments, we call it as quarks for our easiness, where you can use these names, it will be a dictionary. Right take 0 positional arguments. Okay. Now name is equal to Nias, comma, age is equal to 19. Okay. And now if I run this program, I'll get a dictionary name and age. The keyword is name and the value is Nias. Keyword is age and the value is 19. Here I can again use this right only with name also. Okay, name is equal to Trishai. And I don't know his age. So I am not going to give his age. So I'll get a dictionary of whatever is there, only that one. These are keyword arguments. Arguments and keyword arguments, I believe all of you are clear with. Am I right? Any doubts? No. So now I'm going to give you an exercise. Write a function to convert hours to minutes and seconds. For example, if 2 hours 15 minutes is the input, the output will be 135 minutes and 1800 seconds. And the program is given for you. Please practice this program. So let us learn lambda function. Lambda is something where you have only one statement. A lambda function can take arguments, any number of arguments like any other function. But if you have only small things to do, you can use lambda. Okay. For example, I wanted to find out a square minus b square as a function. So here I am giving an name called as sqrs. I am writing the keyword lambda, then I am giving the arguments a and b, then I am finding out a square minus b square. So this value is automatically returned. You don't need to write a specific explicit return statement here. Now when I give sqrs 4, 3, what I will get? 4 square minus 3 square. So lambda in Python is a one statement, a small function which executes something. In this example, what I have done is that I have done a square minus b square. Now let us see how this program works. S is equal to lambda, and I am giving arguments. Okay, a comma b. Then what I am doing is that I am returning a plus b, for example. Okay, then I should get the output 2 plus 3. Okay, is that okay? And if I want something else, a square plus b square, I'll get 2 square, 4 plus 3 square, 9, 13. Lambda, so suppose if I have another one, say I wanted to find out 5, 6. Instead of rewriting this whole program, I can just call the lambda s function. It is similar to a function. Okay, so I'll get only 5 and 6 here because the last statement is the only thing that is executed in collapse. So lambda is a small one that you don't need to write explicit return statement and so on. For ease of reducing the code and so on, we can use lambda in several occasions. Now these are the examples that I want you to do. Now I want you to write a Python program to find if a number is odd or even. Second is write a Python program to count the number of vowels in a string. Create a Python script to print all prime numbers between 1 and 200. These are the 3 programs and exercises that you are expected to do now. Let's start doing. Now let's have a brief look at what are lists. A list is a collection of objects, a list of objects of any kind. Python has 2 data structures, lists and tuples. And of course we also have dictionaries. But now we'll be seeing lists and the elements of lists and tuples. How to access elements of lists and how to use lists effectively for our programming structure. Okay, so now list is being declared within square brackets. I've shown some examples of list, college. So now here I am declaring a list. I am declaring a list which contains 3 elements, all the 3 are strings, and I am calling this to be college. So here I am declaring a list called as college and it contains 3 elements. One is students, it is a string, another one staff, string, and another one teachers, another string. Now if I wanted to access the elements of a string of a list, I can use college of 0 to to find out the first element, college of 1 for the second one, and college of 2 for the third one, that is the teachers. If I want to iterate through a list, I can do it very easily. For I in college, print I will get, where as long as you have elements in the list, it gets printed one by one. So now I can do one thing, print I. Okay, students are good. So I'll get for all the things are good. Okay, stars are good, teachers are good, and so on. Right? I of 0 is not there. I is not an iterable variable. I is the individual element of the list. I will be the first element. I of the college of 0 will be equal to I. You can write use I directly. You don't need to have I of something. See, now let me put this. Listen here, all of you. Instead of students, I am putting this as 20. And I wanted this to be added with 10. Print I plus 10. Okay. Now I'll get this printed here, but the other two I'll get error. This I got 30 here. The other two, see if I am putting this as 24 and 31, it should be a numerical value only, then it should do the addition, right? Otherwise I can use the numeric. If I dot is numeric, I is equal to print I plus 10, and I can put it like this. Is numeric is only for strings, okay? And I can call this as students, and I can call this as teachers. So what happens if I has, sorry, numeric spelling is wrong. Numeric. Now, and okay, in of I. So now you got 30. Otherwise print I as it is means you will get all the values. Okay. So you will get 20 also. This checking method is numeric. So this is how you access an individual element. It is not I of 0. I itself stands for the individual element in the list. An integer, a float, strings are iterable, except strings are iterable, but integers and floats, all these values you cannot iterate. I of 0 is wrong. But if it is a string, it is iterable. Suppose I can do like this. It is not numeric, right? In case it is not numeric, I can print I of I itself. Not like this, let me do it in a different way. I wanted to print the students STUDENTES separately. So it is not numerical, else for J in I, print J. So for all non-numerical values, what will happen? It will print like this. Is that okay? Is that okay? So similarly we have another one, another example. Student. A student is a list. I can give a name for this. Say for example, what is your name? Ajay. Ajil. Ajil. And I can create, say for example, a list which says everything about Ajil. Ajil is equal to, let me put that name as Ajil. I'm putting marks as 79. Okay, so I can create a list of multiple data types. I can create, for example, I wanted to create a list for the student whose name is Ajil, whose marks is 79, whose roll number, whose telephone number is something else, and so on. Is that clear? So same way. So now basics of strings once again can be created by using a square bracket. List names are variable names. You can create a list of range of values. Usually in our electronics and communication engineering, we often need to create random numbers and a set of lists in different places. On all these occasions, we need to create random numbers for our simulation purposes. So we need to create list of numbers from 0 to 100 and so on, 0 to 1000 or some random numbers, or so many other applications are there. In that case, you want to create a list of values from 0 to 10 or 1 to 10. You can use this range. Range function is like this, that range is a function as such, and you will get the values 1, 2, 3 up to 9. So you understood how to create list. This is how you can create list using the range function. Contents of the list can be modified. It is not possible to modify the contents of tuples. That is why this is important here. You can create and declare empty lists, that we have already seen. You can create a list with a set of expressions also. Instead of values, you can give expressions also. This is very commonly required when you are using certain packages like NumPy and so on. Okay, so you can create a list and you can create expressions using that list. So now here what I have done is that I have just done this to teach you all kinds of basic list operations. I created a random list M with so much marks. Now how many students are there? You can find it by using length, maximum marks by max, minimum marks by minimum, average marks very easy, sum by length, or there is functions like average also. And now you can print all these things. If you want to delete an element in the list, you can use del 0 and so on. Now you can try this program, you can practice this program and see what the output is. This will make you understand everything about list, and if you have any clarifications regarding this, you can ask me anytime. Yes, any doubts? del m of 0, I'll tell you that, I'll show you that with an example. Now del agil of 0, I will delete the first value, and now when I type agil, I will get all values other than the first one, that is 1 is not there, it will start from 2 onwards. If I put del agil of 5, the fifth value, that is 6, it starts from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, that 6 is missing. You can see that 6 is deleted. That is how you can delete a single element from a list. Is that clear? All of you are able to understand? So now you can practice this. Now we shall do more examples with lists. When you add two lists, now you create two lists. List 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4 and list 2 is 5, 6, 7, 8. When you add these lists, what happens is that you don't get 6, 8, 10, 12, but you get 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'll show you this one in practice. Let me create a list 1 that contains 1, 2, 3, 4 and list 2 as L2 as 5, 6, 7, 8. L1 plus L2, L3 is equal to L1 plus L2. So I'll get this as 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what I can do, if I put L2 plus L1, I'll get 5, 6, 7, 8 in the beginning and then 1, 2, 3, 4 in the end. So when you add two lists, it gets concatenated, not added. Right? If you give 2 into L3 means I'll get here. If I give 2 into L3, I'll get the entire elements of the list multiplied 2 times, not into 2, but I'll get it as 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? Is that clear? Next, if you give this double equal to, if the contents of the list, both the lists are same, it gives true, otherwise it gives false. Otherwise it gives false. Okay? Now in is a Boolean expression. Say now I say 6 in L3. Now what it will do? It will return true or false. If 6 is there in L3, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Say for example, if I give it a 0, I will get the value to be false. So you can convert a string into list by using this list. I will just copy this. S is equal to list of this is the way I am going to convert a string into list. I give list and I'll put it in brackets any string, that string will be converted into list. Now if I type S, what will happen? I'll get every alphabet of the string as each element. So if I put S of 0, I'll get W. S of 3, I'll get L. No, this is a list function. When you declare a list, you give it in square brackets. But when you convert a string into a list, what you're doing is you're calling a list function inside the Python. Like print, you're calling it as it's a function, you're calling that. This is a string, you're converting that string. List, when you declare or create new list, you will give it in square brackets. And this 3, 0, whatever I tell you now is called as index. Index of list. Okay. C is the third value, right? This is how you access list. Length we have seen, append we have seen, I think, right? Append is something which can use to add an element towards the end of the list. Count. Count 5 is another one interesting one. Number of times 5 appears inside the list. Say I want to count the number of A's inside this. Right? So, okay, S dot count O. So what I'll get number of O's. 7 times O is there. Is it correct? So some operations that cannot be performed in strings as such, what we'll do is that we'll convert the strings into lists and then do these kind of operations. Sort arranges from ascending to descending. Reverse. Reverse means the last element will come first and the first element will come last. Now I'll show that with an example. Now we have S dot reverse. So what will happen is that I'll get a list starting from G to W. Right? So reverses the string. That means it makes the order the other way around. Pop means you're adding an element into the list. You can remove also. Apart from delete, you have remove also. You can remove with indexes also. Right? You can remove a particular value. Say I can remove W from this, right? Remove G, W, right, for example. And then it begins with E. 1 second. No, instead of small w, it's case sensitive, no? So, it removes this w and this w. Both w's are removed. Okay? So, pop, you want an example in pop? Pop w. String object keyboard. Okay, pop. You got the 2 here, not 2 here.
Sorry, index value.
Yes, L is gone, right? So it removes the index value. Pop. Pop method removes and returns the item at the given index. Suppose you are giving 2, it removes the item in the second list and gives you. Okay? extend. Another one method is extend, that is equivalent to list 1 plus list 2. After list 1, towards the end, it adds list 2. Okay. Maximum value in a list can be found out by max. Minimum value can be found out by minimum, and you can use you can use index function to find out the index of any of these values. Okay. Now if you want to find out the position of W, I can give S dot index of capital W. No, I don't need to print S. No? 0 comes, right? So these are some of the basic examples of list. Again, we'll do some more examples. Now I'm creating a list of prices of 10 items in a store, and from this list I'm creating a new list of items in that are more than 100. Okay, so you can try executing this program and see how it is going to work. Yes. We wanted to remove these items, we want to filter these items. I want only items that is above 100. So here I am using a function lambda which returns only a value which is greater than 100. So lambda a colon a is greater than 100, and from where? From prices. And I am printing it. So I will just show you this example. I will just copy this and paste this and run this. So now I have a list. The list is prices. In this prices, it contains so many values. I wanted to take out only those values which is above 100. So what I am going to create, I am creating a new list. I am calling the name of that list to be above underscore 100. In that, what I am doing, I am filtering the values for which I am using a function where this function is going to return all values that is greater than 100. So in filter we have another one which is the main list. From which list you have to filter, that list is going to be taken out and printed. Now, so I will give you another example with filters. Now let me say A is equal to range range 10. Okay. Now listen here, all of you. I've created a list from 0 to 10, and I wanted a list which has only even numbers in it. Okay. Even is equal to, I wanted another list lot filter lambda x, where here this is the list here. Filter is having two parameters. One parameter is going to be a function and the other parameter is going to be the input to the function. Okay. So here list dot filter even. Now when I will get only even numbers that is being divisible by 2. Is that, are you able to understand how to use filter? Now before that, if you print A, what happens? If you print A, you have all the values 0, 1 to 10. Now in that if I am filtering, now I'll get even, then I'll get all the odd values removed and I'll get only an even value in the list. So this is the way you can use filter. Filter is very important because it takes one argument itself as a function. The second one is the list in which it is going to do the operations. Okay. Next is tuples. I'll give you some time to practice the. After this, we'll study what are tuples. A tuple, like a list, is a collection of values separated by commas and it is in ordinary parentheses. A tuple is generally used for keeping only very small set of data, not like list. It is under a variable, okay. And we have so many applications to tuples when we come about 3D coordinate geometry and so on. We'll be using in our practical examples in future sessions. A tuples can be used for functions that return more than one value. Tuples are also used to pass a number of parameters to the function. For example, div mode returns a tuple of quotient and remainder. Okay. So now we can convert a string into a tuple like less. Length of the tuple like list returns how many values or how many elements are there in the tuple. But tuple you cannot append. So you cannot append a value into a tuple because tuples are immutable. If you try to append, you get an error. Okay, similar to list, you have count, which gives you the number of times an element is repeated, and you cannot use sort in tuples because tuples are immutable. Next to tuples, we'll see what are dictionaries. Dictionaries are a key value pair, a collection of key and values. So you want to have certain values. We generally say, for example, here I've taken one side to be the name and the other to be the phone number. So you can create a dictionary called as contacts, and if you type the name of the, if you get the name as the input, you can get the phone number as the output. So very simple example for declaring and using a dictionary. So now let us practice these problems, these Python programs. Let us try to create a set of tuples and we'll see how a tuple functions, and then we'll see about how a dictionary is declared, used, and so on. Okay. So let us see okay. X. So all of you listen here. I've created a very simple function in Python that accepts two arguments. One is name and the other one is marks. And it returns both his name and marks. Now if I print X, I will get a tuple of the first one and the second one. Is that okay? So this is one example of using tuples. Tuples are immutable. You should remember in mind that you cannot change the values in tuple. You can get the values, the outcomes in. Another one example is what we have already seen about the arguments. Right? So you can do like this to create and use a tuple. Now if I give x of 0, I'll get Nias as the output. So you can please practice this, converting a string into a tuple, converting a list into a tuple, length function, append, count, sort. Now I'll show you an example of advantage of converting somewhere, I'll tell you. So now I'm creating a list 1. Okay, let me say that A, let this be point A, this is 1 comma 2, and another one B, which is minus 1, minus 3 comma minus 4 or something like that. Okay, now A T is a tuple. I am converting this list A into a tuple of A, and BT is equal to tuple of B. I can give A dot append 3, and now I can print A. So now what will happen? I'll have 1, 2, 3 as the list. If I type 80, I'll get 1, 2. 1, 2 as a tuple. But if I type 80 dot append 3, I will get an error because tuples are immutable. Tuple object has no attribute called as append, or tuple dot sort, I'll get error. Tuple dot sort, I'll get error. Tuple object has no attribute sort, but I can A dot sort can be done. Okay. So A dot sort means it is already sorted. It is already 1 and 2 only, right? Yes or no? Are you all able to understand the differences between tuples and lists? Now, next is dictionary. I want you to try this exercise. So these are two simple problems. First problem is just to create a dictionary of contacts and the numbers, phone numbers. An example. Second one, a Python program to print a restaurant menu for its own prices. We'll be using a example, a dictionary as an example. Okay. These are the practice questions that you have to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Write a program that has a dictionary of all student names in your class as keys and their number of backlogs as its values. Print a dictionary in the sorted order. Print the names of students and no backlogs and other set of named students with more than 3 backlogs. I don't want you to give the exact values, you can use hypothetical values, but I need a set of students names one side, number of backlogs one side. We need to do all the operations with that. Whenever I ask you to give me the number of students without any backlogs, you should be able to give me that. Okay, another program, dictionary of friends name as keys and phone numbers as values. Print the dictionary in the sorted order. Prompt the user to enter the name and check if it is present in the dictionary. If the name is not present, then you need an option to enter the name. You understand? And that entered name should be saved in the dictionary. All of you understood the question? So here, next is a very important concept, which is the basics of object-oriented programming. What is a class in Python? Shall we start with classes, or you want some more time to practice the others? So we will be understanding classes in Python. We will be understanding object-oriented programming structures. What is meant by an object? What is object-oriented programming in general, and then in Python in detail. Objects. Now, in object-oriented programming, we have lot of advantages. One, we call it by different names like data encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. Okay, so what are the things? Data encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and then so on. Not only these are all the names given to certain advantages of object-oriented programming, but we'll see what are all these things in practice. Now consider animal. Animal is a class and dog is an object of the animal class. That means I am taking a generic thing as a class and I am creating instances of this class as specific objects of that particular class. Okay, for example, let me consider student to be a class. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let me consider student as a class. Okay, that means that every student will have certain features. Say for example, roll number, class, name, and so on. Certain students will have certain additional classes. We can add that also into that, and we can make this as objects. Okay, so I'll give an example. I'll start with student class. I'll start with student class. Okay, then let me define a class. Class is a keyword, and all class names begin with a capital letter. Okay, and inside the class I have methods, functions, variables, and so on. Here let me call this as another one, roll number. Okay, roll number. And you can initialize a class, that's why it is coming automatically initialized. So roll number is equal to some say A ATP and something like this. Okay, something like this. I'm declaring a string. Okay, initialization. This is how you initialize a class. You can use def underscore underscore. There are two underscores here. Init method to initialize a class. So before we go for initialization and so on, we'll just see what a class is. I just created roll number. Okay, now if I run this, what happens is that a class by name student is created. Okay, in case I run this statement, I get a class by name student is created. What is your name? Shabrinath, right? Shabari is equal to a student. Shabari dot roll number means I'll get this ATP value here. You understand? Same way I can create another student. What is your name? Sri Vishnu, I've already. Sri Vishnu, another student is equal to student. Okay. And so I can do one thing, same thing I can do for him also. Sri Vishnu dot roll number. Okay, so what I am getting here, for all these things I am getting ATP, right? Let me I'll cut this, and what I'll do is that I'll create a code, I'll run like this. So I am printing Shabari's roll number, I am printing this one. Okay, Shabari dot roll. Now what I can do is that I can manipulate this very easily. Right? Now I put that S is equal to Shabari dot roll number plus, what is your roll number? 042. Now for example, I can do this and I can use this S for every of this. I can create another one, say R is equal to this one plus, what is your roll number, Sri Vishnu? 049. Okay, now if I type R, it will be ATP 049. You understand? So a class is a collection of features of certain objects. Object is an individual instance of a class, and we are using these classes for creating generic purposes. For so many reasons we'll be using that. Are you able to understand what I meant by class? Okay, so here I have shown you with an example how to declare a class, and class has an underscore init method as shown, that is to initialize the class. You don't need to really do it because it is automatically called by the Python interpreter whenever you declare a class. Only when you need to override it, you need to call it. Otherwise, you don't need to call it. Is that clear? So now let me tell you how to initialize the class. Now here I am creating a class and I am creating this is called as method underscore init, and self stands for underscore init, and self stands for the same class. For every initialization we have to call the same class once again, and then we have two methods. Let me call it as name comma age, for example. Okay, self dot name is equal to name, self dot age is equal to age. That's all. Now I can create an error because we have two arguments. So I can create name Shabarinath and age to be 19. Okay, So I mean that I've created a new student whose name is Shabrinath and age is 19. Now I can access this by Shabari.name. So I'll get this name. Shabari.age means I'll get 90. Age means I'll get 90. Now I want to say that I want to add, say let me use another one called as marks. Self dot marks is equal to marks, and I've created another one function called as display. Display is a method inside the student class where it is going to define its name, marks and age. Now another one I'm going to create, I'm going to call it a scale. I'm going to scale marks, self dot marks, and marks is equal to self dot marks plus 10, return marks. Okay, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add 10 marks to the student class by using this method scale. Whoever I like I can add, whoever I don't like I don't need to add. Okay, so what is the mistake here? Not self comma marks, or just self is more than enough here. Okay, so here this code I have run. Now here I am going to initialize marks to be 60.0 something like that. Shabari dot marks will be Shabari dot marks, sorry, not Shabari dot marks is 60, but now Shabari dot scale is a method. Okay, you should understand that scale is a function. This will return 40, or sorry, 60 plus 10, 70. A class can have methods. Okay, Anamika, listen here. A class can have methods. Methods do some action and give you some results. Okay, and all these things are individually called as objects. Understood? All of you? So we'll see some more examples in classes. Object is an instance of class. Now you can try this program now. I've created in this program, I've created a student class. I've initialized students with name, registration number, semester, branch, CGPA, number of supply and so on. And then what I've done, I've defined a simple method wherein it takes the semester, and what it does, it gives you the year of study as the output. Suppose you are giving 6th semester, it will give you 3rd year as the output. Okay, like this I can create, initialize and then act accordingly. So here we have defined a class. This class takes in registration number, semester, branch, CGPA and number of supply as a arguments. And then what it does, it has one method which says year of study, which takes self, and in self.sem what happens, So here this class student is taking this. Let us consider that we have this self semester is being taken. If the semester is 1 or 2, then it will return its first year. If it is 5 or 6, it will return in third year. 3 or 4 second year, 5 or 6 third year, and 7 or 8 in the final year. And if I create a student by name Sneha and I just give Sneha.year.study, what I'll get whether she is in the first year, second year, or third year, depending upon the semester that is being taken. Okay. Methods inside the class will end with double parenthesis, but variables don't. Here I can use Sneha.registration number directly without anything. But when it is a method, it can take arguments also. You can give some values as input to the method also. Okay. So let us now declare a class, create a class called a student, and then find out the year of study using this method. Since we are coming to the conclusion of the workshop, I have one more problem that is to be discussed, like what we have done previously. Now I am creating a class called as electrical signal, which takes the maximum voltage Vmax as the input and returns two functions. One returns its RMS value, the other one returns the average value. And when I give signal, I'll get electrical signal, and if I give the value, that is voltage max 230, I can get its RMS value and its average value. Okay. So electrical signal is a class which takes in here the input as the maximum voltage, and we have two different methods. One returns its RMS value and the other one returns its average value. I can create the instance of a signal, one particular signal which has the maximum voltage of 230 volts. What would be its RMS value, what would be its average value can be easily found out using this. Another signal is there where the maximum value is different. I can use the same set of programs. I can inherit a class, I can hide the values, I can do a lot of things with object oriented and classes. Okay, these are the two exercises I think I wanted to teach you today. I wanted some programs to be done also. After this, we will be having what is called as modules and packages, which is the only portion that might be remaining in this present workshop, which we don't have enough time to complete. So I just want you to practice these two classes and methods, these two programs today, and then do these as exercises. Write a program to calculate the specific resistance of a wire given its resistance in ohms, diameter and length in meters, and rho is given by RA into RA by L. Another one, like we have created a student class, I wanted you to create a patient class where the patient will be having his name, patient ID, height and weight and so on. Right? And we can create different methods for that. These are the two exercises, and modules and packages we need to study. Maybe we'll be studying it in the next session. So here I will explain to you the problem what I have done, electrical signal. I am going to create a class called as electrical signal. In the beginning I told you about PEP, right? PEP. We have certain conventions here. E and S should be in capital letters. There are two ways of declaring a class. One, you can use init method, different underscore init method, or else you can use simply, you can create Vmax. This is also correct. Okay, I'll come to that. So here, in it, I am giving here only Vmax. Maximum voltage, that is self dot Vmax is equal to Vmax. Right? That means self is the same class, it's a keyword. You are calling the same class and you are calling that Vmax, whatever is there in the initial stage, is directly the Vmax value, right? You are simply, and then what we are supposed to do, next thing is that we'll find out the RMS value, right? What is the formula for finding out the RMS value? 0.707 into Vmax. And then I am rounding off this value to 2. Okay, that's why I have used this round. Round is a function which is used to round the values to 2 decimal places. This is not compulsory. So RMS is equal to self Vmax, self, and return RMS value is equal to 0.707 into self dot Vmax and return RMS. I am defining how to find out the RMS in this function, which is called as a method inside the class. Okay, there might be n number of electrical signals I want to generate. One signal I will call it as S1. Okay, S1 is the first signal. S1 is equal to electrical signal of 230 volts or something, and then I am printing S1 dot RMS so that I get the RMS value of the electrical signal which has 230 volts. Here in the example what I have done in your material is that I've just rounded it off to 2 so that I get 2 decimal values as the output. Okay, for that I'm using what is called as round method so that I'll get it as 162.61. Similarly, I have done another one for average also. Right? So that now I can create another electrical signal S2 which has a maximum voltage of electrical signal with 480 or 380 or 440, whatever it is. And if I put S2 dot, S2 is equal to, sorry, S2 dot RMS, I will get the RMS value of the second electrical signal. I hope you are able to understand, right? I have done another, if you have two capacitors, what is the equivalent capacitance? Connected in series and parallel. You remember all these things. For that you can write another. I have written a program for that. I think it is, I'll just, let me check if that program is already there. Yes, it is there. See here I have written a program called as electron. Okay. So here I am finding out, no, this is before that. See, I have created a class called as capacitor. Every capacitor will have a capacitance value. Am I right? Yes or no? So the initial thing will be the capacitance C. The charge stored will be C into V. You can return a charge, you can return energy. How you will calculate energy? E is equal to 1 by 2. So when I create, say, let me copy this and paste and tell you. So here, first I am initializing the capacitor and fixing the capacitance value to be C. Then charge. And now I'm returning E. Now return E is there. Return E. Now if I run, I've created a class called as capacitor that has all the features of a capacitor. Now I wanted to know the details of one capacitor called as C1, which is having a, say, zero point 0.1 farad or something like that. So I'll give C is equal to capacitor of, say, 0.1. Okay. Now if I give C dot charge, I'll get the charge stored in the capacitor. Is equal to C dot charge, I have to give voltage, no? Say I'm giving 10 volts. So I got it as 0.1, the charge stored in the capacitor by using the formula Q is equal to CV. Right? Similarly, so this is a method, and in this method I have sent an argument which I have not done in the previous examples. Here I am using this argument 10 here. Here I am getting this value of V, and then what I am doing here, see C dot, here also again there is V missing, right? Just a minute. V, this one, this, and paste it. Self dot C into CV square. The energy in the capacitor is defined as 1 by 2 CV square, am I right? You remember that. So here we are going to find out the energy stored. Now in the same thing, if I wanted to find out the energy stored, what I can do, C dot energy of 10 volts. So what I will get, 1 by 2 CV square. Here what is a mistake? Capacitor has no attribute. Okay. There was a small space I had when I copied and pasted, no, the space was not there, so that's why you got the error. Now you get that C dot energy at 10 volts. The capacitance is fixed at 0.1 farads. Okay, are you able to understand how all we can be able to use classes? Now another example. So here in this example, actually what I've done is that I've imported this. I'll tell you how to import classes and so on in the coming sessions. How to create packages. So here, this one now, here I have created a program, or we have done a program to find out the equivalent capacitance of a set of series of capacitors, where we do not know how many capacitors are connected. So all these will have a large amount of practical applications in future. All what you have studied now, all the programs that we have done now is having so much of applications for our electronics and communication, and in general all engineering applications require Python programming as on date, and I want all of you to be so cautious about this and understand all these concepts very clearly. So these are the modules and packages, and okay, so now we shall conclude this particular session for the time being, and we will start with modules, packages, and we will see about NumPy, SkyPy, Advanced Python in the next workshop that would be coming very shortly. And this is very important for all of you. So thank you all very much for cooperating with me, and doing as much as possible from your side. And one more thing is that I am very happy that all of you tried your level best. Everybody was very cooperative and I thank all my students for doing this job wonderfully. Thank you all.